Hey everybody, welcome to the Darkstream. I am Vox Day. This is brought to you by Infogalactic News, infogalactic.com, and of course, the Rabid Puppies. Now, sorry I'm a little late. I've just been very busy leading the alt-right. You know, it's a real responsibility. Take it very seriously. The funny thing is, the New York Times interviewed me about the alt-right back in January, and they sent me all these they sent me all these questions and that sort of thing, and I answered them, and not a word. And yesterday I just made a throwaway comment about PewDiePie, saying that if he wasn't alt-right before, he certainly is now. Now he understands that you're not supposed to say anything about them. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's PewDiePie. He just talks shit constantly. He's a gamer. That's what they do. And so suddenly you have this huge reaction, of course, and the SJWs and the Jewish SJWs doing what they do and throwing a hissy fit and canceling them and that sort of thing. And it's a very valuable lesson. I mean, I talked about this on Gab TV. It doesn't matter how big you are, they will try to take you down if you violate their narrative. And so Milo on Bill Maher is going to be great. It's not good or bad, it's going to be great. I've seen him go into the lion's den on Fox News with much smarter journalists than Bill Maher is, and I think Milo's going to be absolutely brilliant. But to get back to PewDiePie and whatnot, I mean, the guy's just being ridiculous. That's what he does. That's why people like to watch him. I'm not. I don't watch it. It's not my style. I'm a gamer, but and so what is the New York? So I just make a throwaway comment saying, if PewDiePie isn't alt-right already, he is now. And then the New York Times quotes that. They don't quote me when they actually ask me about the alt-right, but the minute that they think it might serve their narrative, boom, they're there. They're literally stalking Gab. Which is a great sign for Gab. I mean, this is a really great sign for Gab. Gab is going to grow explosively. They've already got 800,000 people on the list. It's amazing. And so so what they've they've gotten their people in there. And I've seen a few SJWs over there, and there's going to be more. And so, whoa, it's a party. Somebody invited 252 people. I don't know if we can handle that. I didn't plan drinks for that many. Getting back to the question about PewDiePie's future, it really depends on him. If he tries to, I think he made a mistake in apologizing. I mean, on the one hand, it was legitimate for him to apologize because, clearly he had absolutely no intention of causing any offense to anybody. On the other hand, if he's going to apologize to people that he's inadvertently caused offense to, he's going to be apologizing to a lot of people for a long time. But I do think, I mean, as you know from the book SJWs Always Lie, I always advise people to never ever apologize when they're under pressure to do so. And so, hopefully he will learn from the rejection of his clarification and so forth. No, I have a feeling that YouTube is going to back down and Disney is going to back down because this would be one of the best things that could ever possibly happen to the alt-right, beyond Hillary Clinton attacking it, because they don't want to make him a cult hero, and bring more people over to us. Thanks. Somebody said the t-shirts are cool. They are always cool. If you like these t-shirts, go to crypto.fashion, Dark Lord Designs. We're actually working on, you probably want to get this one soon if you like this Rabid Puppy shirt, because we're working on a Rabid Puppies 2, or Rabid Puppies 2017 shirt. It'll be out soon too. And there's just a few Trump Slide 2016 shirts. They have a deal where if you buy 2 shirts, they give you a Trump Slide 2016 free. And I believe that we've just introduced the Trump Slide 2020 shirts. I don't even have one yet. So, because there is going to be a Trump Slide 2020, it's going to be bigger. It's funny, actually I can't really do biceps as much these days because I got one of those little like tennis elbow things, but can only do hammer curls. Can't do the real thing. But anyhow, it's the, all this, I said I want to talk about books and games tonight because frankly, I'm a little done with the DC drama for the time being. I mean, we have to pay attention to it. We have to analyze it, but, we don't always need to talk it to death. The God Emperor is fine. Even if the Flynn thing was a mistake, it'll be fine because the man learns from his mistakes. And so, we're in the cruise phase. The presser just shows that he's not freaked out. He's not upset about this stuff. So. But let's talk a little bit about books and games. That was the other thing that was interesting about the New York Times piece that I thought was particularly funny in reference to me anyhow, was that they described me as a former game designer. Now, on what planet can I possibly be a former game designer? I'm working right now on, I think, 5 different games. I just finished a design consultancy on a sports game for a 3-letter sports league. And we literally just paid the artists for this game that we just signed to an online publisher that we finished developing a few months ago. And so, I find it a little ironic that they always resort to the fake news. They're always trying to minimize. They're always trying to make you look bad, and the thing is that you're, for a game designer, is somebody who designs games, whether you have signed that game to somebody or not. I mean, I've designed far more games than I've published. Everyone who works professionally in the industry has developed more games than they've published, than they've finished, because there's a winnowing process that starts from the beginning. From your first 1-page concept document to the final product, there's probably not 1% of the original design concepts make it to the end. So does that mean all that work in between didn't happen? And that's totally ridiculous. The favorite game that I designed, I'm still very proud of Rebel Moon Rising. I think the most interesting game that I designed was not even a computer game. It was War Leader, which was my attempt to create a fantasy advanced squad leader. Interestingly enough, War Leader did turn into a Throne of Bones. The world that I created for War Leader was what I used as the basis for Selenoth. I mean, it was literally called Selenoth, and so that all those books grew out of that war game. And so, but the funniest game concept that I ever came up with. this will probably only appeal to a very small group of literary folks, but um, the my mentor in the industry, who was at Sega at the time, um, we were trying to come up with what we thought the absolute worst um, game concept would be. Like just the absolute most horrible, this game will not be the least bit fun game that we could come up with. And so I said, okay, I've got it. We'll call it Remembrance of Things Past 3D, The Search for the Cooler Side of the Pillow. Now, if you've ever read Proust, you'll understand the humor in that, because literally nothing happens in this book for the first like 50 pages. It's all about a guy lying in bed trying to get to sleep. So, it's just, how it is. You're lying in bed and then you flip the pillow over that stuff. I mean, this literally goes on for 50 pages. Now, the guy's a great writer. Remembrance of Things Past. The guy's a great writer. And so it's actually makes for okay reading, but it would make for the worst game ever. Is there a setting book in the works for Selenoff? Yes, there is. The Alex McCree and the Adventure Conqueror King system are going to be doing that. Alex and I have had a couple conversations about it, and he's been reading the books, and so there will definitely be a Selenoth related RPG setting book. We may actually also do one for Divine Right. We acquired the rights to do the Divine Right computer game. We're working on that right now. And we also are going to be publishing a couple Divine Right related books, and we may be doing some Divine Right related RPG stuff as well, now that we have this relationship with guys who actually know how to do RPGs. The best fantasy book, I mean, it's obvious, the Lord of the Rings is the best fantasy book. There's no question. But I would say that my personal favorites are my personal favorite fantasy books are the Dark is Rising series, the Dark is Rising series by Susan Cooper, but the whole series isn't great. 3 of the books are great, and the other 2 are just kind of mediocre. I don't reread Lord of the Rings a lot. My wife does. She reads to the kids and that sort of thing, but I've just read it like maybe 3 or 4 times. I do have it is one of my prized possessions, though. I can show you. A couple of my friends got me these for my birthday many years ago. Nice leather-bound Hobbit, beautiful green leather-bound, and then this nice red leather-bound Lord of the Rings. So it'd be fun to do that someday with all the Selenoff books. But some clearly insane people have been kind enough to compare A Throne of Bones and A Sea of Skulls and Suma Helvetica collectively to the Lord of the Rings, unfavorably. Don't get me wrong. Nobody has said that they're better. I have read the Swords of the Legion series from Turtle Dove. I really like them. I thought they were really cool, but I didn't realize how completely he just ripped that out of Byzantine history until I got a little older and read John Julius Norwich, and was like, oh, Harry Turtledove is nowhere nearly as creative as I thought he was. So, yeah, my original Lord of the Rings paperbacks fell apart too. I had those white ones that came in white paperbacks that came in a gold box. Do I consider the best for the writing quality or the themes? Well, it's not the quality per se. I mean, Tolkien is a very good writer, and he's certainly the best world builder that we've ever seen. I would actually say that in terms of pure literary quality in fantasy, the 2 best writers are probably Taineth Lee and China Miéville. you might put Mieville in the science fiction category or whatever, but to me he's basically a fantasy writer, and even though he's an insane Marxist, he's just a beautiful writer, and some of his books are approach greatness. I don't think that they're actually great, but I do think that they approach greatness in some ways. Weiss and Hickman, I mean, they're fun. The original Dragonlance books, the two trilogies are really good. The Twins trilogies and then the original ones. They're a lot of fun. They're fantastic. I like them quite a bit, but they're lightweight. You can't reasonably compare Weiss and Hickman to Tanith Lee. Gene Wolfe is a great writer. But he's a science fiction writer more than he's a fantasy writer. I mean, the Dragonlance books, I would say they're fun. I reread them maybe 10 years ago. Is Tolkien to be read for the story themselves, or are there profound themes? They are to be read for the stories themselves, and there are profound themes underlying them. I mean, that's what makes a book great, is that the story is excellent, and the themes underlying it are also excellent. Charles Williams, I just haven't gotten into. I started reading him like twice and just never even finished the book. He's one of the Inklings, so of course he's remembered for that. But I'd have to read more. We're not going to go into the entire thematic depths of Tolkien tonight, okay? So just stop asking the same question again, over and over again. The Jack White's Camelud series, I don't think I've ever read that. And then, look, if you keep popping up question after question after question, I'm just going to block you. So stop. I didn't watch the press conference myself, but Space Bunny said that Trump absolutely killed it, and so that's a good sign. She's not she's neutral on Trump, but she likes to pay attention to that sort of thing. She said it was. I mean, she didn't just say he was good. She said he killed it. Those are her actual words. Lord of Light is fantastic. I like Zelazny a lot. I especially like the early Amber novels, but Lord of Light is peak Zelazny. He does not get any better than that, and that is another book that I would consider to be borderline great. Some books that you might not be familiar with that I'd also recommend. I don't know if you've ever read the Chronicles of Prydain by Lloyd Alexander. Those are kind of juvenile, but they're fantastic. Just really, really good. Disney, of course, completely screwed it up with their Black Cauldron movie, but those are really, really good fantasy books. And again, the best pure writer I would recommend is Tanith Lee. And that's who I would recommend for just sheer writing quality. She writes the secret books of Paradis. They're very dark. They're very sort of quasi-occultic, but they are the most brilliantly written books, I think, in fantasy. She reminds me a lot, in some ways, of Edgar Allan Poe's style. But I would highly recommend Tanith Lee, and her stuff is fantastic. There's the Secret Books of Paradise. It's like and then the two series are Secret Books of Paradise, and I can't remember the other. But she also has these retelling of story tales. I think it's called like White as Snow, Red as Blood, and they're just bone-chilling renditions of things like Cinderella and that sort of thing. There's very, very few authors like her who are capable of creating a genuine sense of myth. No, I didn't. I've read some of the older Martin, but I've never read Fever Dream. Martin's Sand Kings was a great short story. That was something that really interested me in this stuff. I found the wild cards thing just puzzling. I don't even understand why that was remotely popular with anyone. much less for as many uh, as many series as it went, or as many volumes in the series as it went. And of course, as a game designer, how would I integrate story and gameplay? I think it is a mistake, a very common mistake, to try to turn the game into a interactive story, where you're on a railroad and you're just traveling from one part of the story to the other. Half-Life kind of brought that into the 3D world. At the time, before Half-Life came out, we were all trying to figure out, how do we handle AI? How do we handle the opposition? And there were 3 different approaches. We tried one, which was extremely advanced multi-level artificial intelligence, which we put into Rebel Moon Revolution, which never shipped, but you can actually play it. If you look on YouTube, some Russian programmers actually took our work. We gave them the code just because they asked. They said, can we mess around with it years later? We said, sure. And they actually got it working. And you can see that the artificial intelligence in that game from 1998 is still more advanced than pretty much anything that you're seeing. And so we were, so that was our approach. And obviously we didn't manage to pull it off. We didn't even finish the game because GT went under before then. But, so that was one approach. Battleground took another approach with their Battlefront series, and they did a sort of, I go, you go, I make my plans, you make your plans, and then we just press go, and everything happens at the same time. Now, obviously, that's not going to work in 3D games, but that was the approach that they took in a strategy game. And then, of course, the successful approach was the one that Valve did, which is, well, we'll just put you on this roller coaster from point A to point B, and then we'll script everything. So if you play it again, it's basically going to be exactly the same the next time. I didn't, in retrospect, that's probably the approach we should have taken. Valve was massively successful, and of course, these are very smart guys. They went and then created Steam, and now they're one of the most important companies in the game industry. While I am somebody that the New York Times can actually describe as a former game designer with no idea what I'm actually doing. So fair enough. They clearly made what was commercially the right decision. I think it was a really bad decision for the industry because, I've been saying, and I was talking to Richard Garrett. You may know him. He's the designer of Ultima, and now he's got that new. I'm actually a Kickstarter supporter. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It starts with a P, Planetarium or something like that. Anyhow, we were talking about maybe, 9 years ago about it, and we both felt that the real battleground now for games is doing really good artificial intelligence. Designed for effect, not designed to mimic the human brain or anything like that. That's just stupid. I'm just saying that providing the effect so that you cannot tell that you're playing against a computer versus a human. And all the stuff that we're doing now, we're incorporating that principle even into very simple little mobile games, so that like if you're playing Top 11, you can't tell that, or you shouldn't be able to tell that you're playing against a human or an AI. Now you can tell, mostly because they give the AI teams really dumb names, names that no English speaker would ever use, and then they make terrible decisions. so But the point is that it's possible to do something much better, and there's a game that we're working on right now that I think that we're going to be doing that. What we've done is we've actually improved their sort of text radio approach, and we've combined it with audio, so that now we have a text audio radio approach for reporting events, and so it's very exciting. It's very visceral, and I think that that's going to become after we introduce it next year, I think that it's something that will become something that you'll see in more mobile games. I haven't played console for a long time. I think the last game I played heavily on console was the previous Battlefield series. I played a fair amount of that on PlayStation, but I'm these days I'm too old for the Twitch games now. I'm pushing 50, and you just don't have the reflexes. I've never played any MOBAs. I like the idea of them. I don't like the execution of them that much. I was actually asked to look at designing one, and we did do some research into it, so I know a fair amount about them, but I've never gotten into playing them particularly. As a general rule, I don't like games that are set up very simply, that are set up kind of like the original Tactics and Tactics 2, or like Tactics 2, where everything is very symmetrical. It's not a... I find that to be highly artificial, and but I mean, I like to play. I'm an advanced squad leader player. You can see all the ASL rules right there. I mean, the games that I like to play, you can see them. They're right here. Here's Kingmaker. I actually played the Avalon Hill game too back in the day, and of course, this is what we're working on right now. Divine Right. And this is going to be an interesting AI challenge, because our goal is to make it so that you can play Divine Right with the full complex of kingdoms, and it's going to be. I mean, Divine Right's a war game, but it's a war game that involves a lot of diplomacy as well as combat, and so it's a great game. One of TSR's few war games. I'm kind of surprised that no one ever really picked it up as a model, but Glenn Rathman really did a great job of designing that, and so it's always been a favorite of mine. I've loved it since I was 10 years old, so to get the opportunity to design the computer version of it is like a dream come true. And so, unfortunately, I haven't even talked to the team in like a month, maybe more. So we're wrapping up some other projects, and so it's good to have a chance to get back to that. But it's you're lucky if you get the chance to do what you love. And I love books and I love games. I have my entire life, and so I'm just very fortunate to be able to spend time doing that. I mean, I know a lot of people don't realize that that's really what I do, but they know me from the political stuff or whatever. But all that is really just a hobby as far as I'm concerned. I mean, all this serious world-changing stuff is just a hobby. What I really care about is fantasy books and war games. But it is what it is. Dune 2000, yeah, of course I remember Dune 2000. I knew the guys who did the original, the team, the Westwood Studio guys, who did the original Dune stuff. In fact, I remember having drinks with them one night, and that they were laughing until they cried about a story about my dog. I'll have to tell it sometime. I've played Europa. No, I haven't played Europa Universalis, but I've played 4 of the other games that they do. Hearts of Iron and what's the other one? Not the Universalis. I think Victoria. So, yeah. Well, I appreciate all you guys that are willing to give the fiction a chance. It's a lot of it's fun. I like writing. No, I've never played Dark Souls. I've heard so many good things about it, but I've just never gotten around to doing it. We always are looking for good artists. If you're a game artist, feel free to shoot me an email with a link to your gallery. We always like to, and even if we don't have something right now, either we'll have a project in the future, or or sometimes people, friends and stuff need an artist, and it's always good to be able to make recommendations and so forth. Do you watch Stefan or Cernovich sometimes? I watch Mike's Periscopes more than I watch Stefan's videos because Stefan's videos they tend to be pretty long. I'm always very careful to make sure I hit the bathroom before I go on with him. And actually, Stefan will have an announcement soon regarding Castelia House, so I'll let him. I'll leave the thunder up to him, but don't want to steal his thunder. But but anyhow, yeah. Pay attention to Stefan. He'll have an announcement about Castelia soon. Favorite first-person shooter that I didn't make? Well, that's easy because mine is not my favorite. I would say the game that I enjoyed most was probably the original Doom. We stayed up. We taught ourselves networking. We went out and bought Novell cards and taught ourselves over the course of an entire night how to network in order to be able to play it. And I remember that first time going around the corner and actually seeing another player, which is so mind-blowing. I never liked Unreal. That's a long story. I'll save it for another time, but I know Mark Ryan, I know the guys at Unreal. I have a lot of respect for them. In fact, we had the same producer at GT Interactive. Dante Dante was the one who got their game done on time, and he was our producer at Unreal Moon Revolution 2. Yeah, Team Fortress was fantastic. I remember playing the original Team Fortress a lot, and that was just tons of fun. And that was what we wanted to do with Rebel Moon Revolution. Our original concept was to marry a 2D strategy game on top of the first-person shooter with the heavy AI. So that's why we had multi-tier AI. We had both Strat AI and TAC AI on both sides, so that you would actually be getting orders from the strategic AI. But that did turn out to be insanely ambitious. We could have done it probably if we had used the Unreal engine, which was offered to us, but we wanted to have our own engine, so we were writing our own 3D engine and this super complex AI and all this other thing. And it was just too much to do, and two of our top programmers got cancer and died, and so and then GT melted down. So the whole thing was just it was clearly never meant to be, unfortunately. So, yeah, no, I don't need any condolences. I wasn't the one who suffered it. They were good guys. One of them was the programmer who did Enemy Nations, if you're familiar with that, which at the time was the best AI in the industry. And we brought this other guy in who'd been doing traffic, AI for traffic lights and that sort of thing. And so we had this just fantastic team together. We actually had more AI programmers than any other programmers, but it just wasn't meant to be. So anyhow, thanks very much. Something to look forward to on Monday. We're going to be making a Infogalactic announcement that I believe is going to be a big deal. You guys probably already know what it is. And no, cutting edge AI does not require cooperation from the tech companies. So thanks for tuning in. I know tonight was just basically a ramble, but sometimes that's fun. And so anyhow, we'll look forward to talking to you soon. And maybe if you're interested in going more in depth into some of this stuff, just shoot me an email and let me know what games or books that you'd like to talk about. So thanks again, and we'll see you soon.